Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. I live in a northern climate, so I always have to contend with frost in my garden when I first start out in the spring. And I'm actually expecting a frost here tomorrow evening, and I'm out here doing a few things to protect my vegetables against that frost. And I'm going to show you guys a few of those techniques that I use so you guys can protect your vegetables if you live in a northern climate as well. And this is one of the techniques that I use to protect my plants. With potatoes, kind of show you here a little bit. Got a potato coming up here. I'll go through when my potatoes first come up to protect them for a few days. I'll cover them up with a little bit of straw. And that straw is hollow, and it is an insulator. So it insulates against a couple of degrees in temperature differential, which will actually protect these plants enough if we have a small frost, like about 30 degrees, what we're expecting. Here is one of the old techniques that I use to protect my plants against frost. I use cut-off milk jugs. Just cut the bottom of the milk jug off, and I cover my plant when I transplant it out in the garden for at least the first 2 to 3 weeks that they're out there. That kind of makes a miniature greenhouse, and it protects the plants against frost. And as you can see, my tomato plant in there, he's hanging out, seems to be fairly happy. And as you can see here, my soil is fairly wet. That's because I just watered it. And wet soil has a tendency to stay a lot warmer than dry soil. And if the plants are hydrated, that also protects them against the frost. So if you're expecting a frost in your area, you definitely want to water your garden real heavy the night before that frost. And here is my last technique that I want to show you guys. This is a compound technique where I've done a couple of the things that I already mentioned to you guys. One is I've watered this soil heavily, as you can see right here. And two, I've got a milk jug here covering up my plant. But then I'm also going to take another layer of plastic and I'm going to cover this up again. And then I'm going to just weight it down around it. And that's going to create basically another greenhouse over the greenhouse to protect these peppers that I have in here against the cold nights that I'm expecting here in the next couple of days. There's another bit of advice that I always give people who are planting garden here in our frost-prone area, and that is don't plant all your seeds and all your seedlings that you started at the same time. Plant about half of them, see how they come along, and that way you always have some in reserve if something bad happens, because there's been times that I've planted beans and a rabbit came through and ate half the row, and if that's the only seed that you have, you could be in a world of hurt if you're relying on that seed to feed yourself. So you always want to keep about half your stuff back, just in case something bad happens. A frost comes through, you get a storm that comes through, knocks a bunch of your stuff down. You always have stuff in reserve, and that's what I do. I always keep about half of my seed starts back, and I never plant all my seed at the same time. I only plant about half of it and see how it goes. But anyway, just wanted to remind you guys of that. If you're planting a garden, especially if you're first starting out, always have backups. Well guys, I hope these tips help you out in protecting your plants against the frost. I like getting my stuff out early because there's nothing like natural sunlight to make the plants grow. There's nothing that I can do in the house or the greenhouse that works as good as the natural sunlight. So anyway, this is Modern Refugee. I appreciate all you guys out there watching my channel. Hope you guys are getting a little information, a little entertainment out of it, and you guys have a great day.